Now you are walking, but I have seen your giveaway. You are giving people Tesla. So what exactly it is? Like you are going towards fitness and you are telling people to let's have a car.
You can make that a shorter period of time. You will get more referrals. You'll have a higher recurring rate. You'll have a longer retention because the connection between I paid you and they say, wow, that was worth it. So you can combine those three things, make sure people know you exist, have a very clear problem you're solving, and have a fast time to value, a short time to value. Growth will be a lot less painful.
So right now you are on the top 10 of the affiliate of GHL. So can you tell the viewers, because lots of people, they are not good in tech, they are not good in marketing, but they have a good community. How people can grow up with the affiliate marketing? Lots of people have fear of AI, they will take their jobs. But I think after AI automations, we have more time to communicate, have podcasts, and have more family time. So what are your views on it?
If you want to do cold outreach, do it on Instagram, or if you want, do it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the one platform that actually encourages, it's a pay to play. You can pay to have the right to show up in someone's inbox. So it seems like, well, thank you, technology and progress. I can have 50 calls in a day and have zero space in my day. That's progress. But maybe that's actually killing us.
So welcome to new episode of Marketing Secrets with Mastermind Implementation with AI Tools with NIPUN SYAL, AI Automation Marketing Specialist and founder of 3 companies. So today we have with us Matt Deseno, founder of HLP Pro Tools. Hi Matt, welcome to our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And if people are watching the video version, I might be walking. I just like to start off and let you know that I'm walking, and that's why I'm bouncing back and forth here.
So my question is over here, like now you are walking, but I have seen your giveaway. You are giving people Tesla. So what exactly it is? Like you are going towards fitness and you are telling people to let's have a car.
You know, it really comes down to like gift giving. The fitness piece of it for me is a new thing. Like I like disregarded my fitness health for, I mean, almost, I wouldn't say my entire life, but it was never a priority for me. So I've like gone through ebbs and flows of it. It actually was just this year where I finally started having some weird allergies. I did an allergy to like elastic. It was just very uncomfortable, and it caused me to realize I had not taken care of my health. I think I also saw some other things about how my parents were aging, and I was like, I do not want to go down that same path. And so, yeah, it's really been relatively a short period of time. For context, in about the last 6 months, I think I know I've lost about 35 pounds, and I've never been as fit as I am now, literally my entire life. And so this is definitely a new thing for me.
Okay, so every marketer has a signature style. So now the Matt signature style will be the marketing guy on a treadmill.
A little bit. If there's shorts here, people love to hate on it because like, well, I'm not walking. But here's what I'd encourage anybody who's listening is, I've done this in other areas of my life. It could be in the business too, is find things that you enjoy and then be uncompromising about it. And I think that's a big gap where people will build businesses they resent because they compromise the things that they value, and they build in such a way where they think that like someday I'll I'll be big enough that I no longer have to compromise. But it usually doesn't go that way. It's like, you know, how you do one thing is sort of how you do everything. And so it's weird to learn, or like to give yourself permission to be less flexible, but I think it's critical for enjoying what you do.
Even I did lots of podcasts with the entrepreneurs. Then I asked some question like how you take care of your health and other stuff. Some of the entrepreneurs said they don't find time to do that. Then I come up with a quote like, people say that I have 99 problems until they have health problem. Once they have a health problem, they have only one problem. Yeah. So that changed my mind.
That's so true.
So at what time you will introduce by high level, like when it comes to in your journey?
Yeah. For me, it was 2019. I was fortunate. I think we were one of the first 50 or first 100 folks on the platform. Started an agency in 2012. In 2018, as we were doing it, we were like trying to find, we were actually considering building our own tool. and we got introduced to High Level as a solution. All it did in the early days was just two-way text messaging. And so that's all we needed it to do. So all the other features they built out, those are all post, after that time. But so we started in January 2019, and the rest has kind of been history. I mean, I'll tell you the quick stories. So we started with the intention to launch SaaS. They didn't have SaaS mode, wasn't kind of like a thing. It wasn't a thing in High Level. And so you had the ability to rebrand, private label, white label the software, but mostly they were just using it as a function of like helping agencies with their clients. We very much so came in with like, this is why we're doing it. And so I remember having those conversations with Sean, the founder, in middle of 2020, because he was looking at like who's having success, who's keeping it around, who's doing this stuff. And so they actually, shifted. There was us and others that were doing this, and they actually changed the whole business model, introduced a higher tier plan. They didn't have a higher tier plan. Like when I started, there was one option, one plan, one price. That was it.
Okay, so that is the value ladder they might be carrying. So again, like right now, SaaSpreneur is quite popular and everybody wants, because in marketing, what the problem with the digital marketing is every month they are finding new clients. They did their task and that's completed. Next, they come with the next task, then they complete it. But in that GHL white label, you have the onboarding and recurring revenue. So can you give some tips of our SaaSpreneur how they can complete 100 and win that award with the GHL?
Oh, win the award. Yeah. So I did a workshop with High Level, and if anyone's looking for like a deeper dive, you can find that on YouTube there. And I went through 10 models that I've seen people get over 100. So for folks who aren't familiar in HL Pro Tools, we run outsourced support. So for us, we did it for ourselves. We had a few hundred folks on it when COVID hit. So in our first year, we got about 300 businesses on High Level on our rebrand of High Level. So we were running our own internal support. When the crisis of COVID hit, we also had an agency. So it was an agency and the software. The agency got hit hard because we're in California. It was shut down. Like a lot of businesses couldn't operate. And so we had to find a way to create value. And so we had this department, and we're like, I think there's probably other industries, other businesses that are doing the similar thing to us in the software side of it who might benefit from the outsourced support. So all that to say, we've supported over, I don't know the full number, 4,000 or 5,000 folks inside of the ecosystem of High Level. And so I feel very confident in knowing what does it take to get past 100 subscribers, because I see it happen all the time. But the big picture elements here are people have to know you exist. They want to be very clear about the problem that you solve, and have a very fast or a short, if you will, time to value. So people know you exist. Most folks, this is the problem, is like they don't even know you have an offer. I encourage folks, you could go out there and just start DMing folks. Like just who would be your ideal customer, and just DM them on Instagram. And a percentage of them will see it, they'll respond. You get to, craft your messaging, get better at this, but just like interact like people. And that may be even how we started, how I ended up on the show. It might've been you found me on Instagram and DM me over there. And so it works. And so I tell folks, like, people to know you exist, clarity around the offer, solve a very specific problem, right? So we were talking about your store before we got on here. You were funnels, very much so, building funnels, which is great. That's still 1/50th of what High Level can do in terms of its full spectrum there. I encourage folks that are new. One of my favorite problems to solve right now is just a chat widget on a website. Because you're like, if you don't have a chat widget on the website, it's sometimes a leading indicator that they're not very marketing sophisticated. It's also a binary problem. You have it or you don't. Sometimes with like funnels, someone might say like, I'm good. I have a funnel. And you're like, no, I can make it better. And they're like, but if they don't have it, you probably find this too. People have nothing. Those are the easiest customers, because they're like, I have nothing. I just need to have something from nothing is an easier problem to solve there. And so the chat widget's an easier one to identify. You look at someone's website, you're like, you don't have a chat widget. So I know you don't have a solution for this. And the third one I was saying there, the fast time to value. This is an understated metric there, but you should be thinking in the business, how long does it take for the person to go from I paid you money to saying that was worth it? If you can make that a shorter period of time, you will get more referrals. You'll have a higher recurring rate. You'll have a longer retention, because the connection between I paid you and they say, wow, that was worth it, is a very small amount of time. Sometimes businesses they have a valuable thing, but they take too long to deliver it. And basically the gap between payment and, they call it time to value, where the person says, wow, that was worth it, becomes too long that they don't even want to refer. They don't want to recommend. They don't, and kind of like the positivity they started with wears off. And so that's the other piece of it, is I try to find, like, how quickly can I deliver the result or the benefit, so that you imagine them saying to themselves, wow, that was worth it. So if you can combine those three things, make sure people know you exist, have a very clear problem you're solving, and have a fast time to value, or a short time to value, growth will be a lot less painful.
Right. And that might be a reason like people will get less churn rate if they give value in a shorter amount of time. Then they see, okay, that's the worth of that onboarding process. So
But
you are
if you
handling
want a
lots of,
tactical,
yeah,
well, if you want a tactical hack there, if you have a
yeah,
fast time to value, you can actually then upgrade to an annual plan pretty quickly. That's like all these companies we were talking about, like other software companies. The secret to really killing your churn on software is annual plans. But it's a higher challenge of sales to get someone to commit to the year. So if you can combine this, where it's a low risk start, a fast experience of value, and then an upsell into an annual plan, you'll have a greater percent take the annual plan, because they had a really positive, speedy experience. If I paid you, it was worth it. Of course I'd pay you the annual plan. It's sort of the back end of that.
right. And I have used your white label support for my customer and myself. So in that case, I want to know a secret where people will find maximum problems after onboarding to the platform.
Oh, it depends on the industry and how they're applying it. But like right now, this is a difficult one. Is A2P, SMS marketing right now,
Yeah.
is it's still a stumbling block. So if people aren't familiar, pre-August 2023, I loved this because it was fast time to value. I could get someone on, I could buy a phone number, and I could text their list in hours. You can't do that anymore. And so,
Miss call test back also.
yeah, like the missed call, all of that was like doable. You could be like, you're on, and let me show you how it works. With A2P is just a regulation now around phone. It actually is a slower process. So I tell folks not to sell into phone-based problem solving, not because it won't work. It will work. We just see it might take them 2 to 3 weeks before their phone gets approved. And so if I think of that time to value, if I'm on a monthly subscription and it took me 3 weeks before I'm even allowed to use the thing that I was excited about using, you're not going to have a very positive experience there. So unfortunately, phone-based stuff, A2P, I try to steer clear of it because it's just out of your control. It's not, you cannot guarantee it'll be done quickly. There's best practices, which we help with, but we just see it, unfortunately, is not as predictable in terms of when they can start to use the phone number.
Because lots of time Twilio reject that. Okay, so they might be come up with some another stuff. And in that case, people will think that we are the one who are not making as a barrier. But no,
Yep.
it's a third party dependent stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably the most fragile aspect of it right now that causes issues. And so that's where if you don't talk about it and it's like a bonus thing, then you're good, right? If I focus on a chat widget, I can get that up and running ASAP. Even now, that's why I love, like, you've got options for live chat that requires no communication there. Another quick one would be like social posting and messaging in a page. I can connect Instagram, and I can do a type of video that's like comment down below, scale, and I'll send you something. That works really well, and it works. I mean, all of these things work well, but I could get that done in an hour for a client, right? And then they're like, oh, that's magical. That feels cool. Time to value, very, fast. And so that's, two different examples. And I'm just thinking about it. If it takes a long time, even if it's great, I'm going to stay away from it, because that time to value is a critical thing that you should be measuring.
Right. So the freebie stuff is the quite popular one right now. It is replacing many chat, and we just can consider as a ebook and let them people comment on Instagram. They immediately see some leads in their CRM. So
Yeah,
that's a great.
exactly. Yep.
Sorry. And I'm coming up with the industry part. So, like every entrepreneur or every business owner has a pain. If we are creating a funnel, so in considering real estate, the funnel will be different. Their pain points will be different because the journey is of 3 to 4 months to let people decide that high ticket. And apart from this, if we talk about restaurant e-commerce stuff, they will buy very quickly. So if there are merchandise, they will buy very quickly, so their pain points are different. So you have created snapshot of every niche. I have
A
seen
lot
HL
of
Pro
niche.
tools coming with, yeah.
Yeah.
So how you come up with every business pain points?
Well, and I'd say
Hmm.
it feels like a lot. It's not every. I'm not saying that it's every. And so here's why we're able to do this is um we we have a big team and a lot of potential reach and influence there. And so for us, it was just one at a time. So it's kind of like it's the old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You just take it piece by piece. And so in each one of these, there was a deep dive for an actual business. Usually it was like franchise based. So it's multi-location, multi-geography. And you just approach it in a similar vein where you're saying like, hey, I got to understand what is the problem? What's the ideal audience? How do I connect them? For general businesses, this is true for all businesses. We say if we can show up, look good, and be fast, like that's kind of how you win or grow to capacity. It's so funny. It's very similar to what I said on the SaaSpreneur side of how do you get to 100, but on a brick and mortar, you'd be like, if people know you exist, like when they need you, when they find you, if you look so good, they feel silly not reaching out. And then when they reach out, you are quick to respond. Most businesses, that's the game. Like they would win, right? If you're thinking like, I need a plumber. It's like, oh, I know there's a plumber that exists. And then you look at their website and you're like, this looks good. I should definitely reach out. Then you reach out and then they're quick to reply and respond and get you what you need. You're like, that's 90% of the buying experience there. And so that's common in almost every business. It's like, how do we help them be more visible? How do we help them be more attractive? And how do we help them, we call it be more persuasive, but for so much, we give an unfair advantage to speed. Like people as an industry, if you had to choose like two businesses, before you work with that business, you're judging them based on other factors. Like I can't tell you what it's going to be like. But so like when you approach things, if you approach other people's problems with urgency, that trust factor is very high. And so that's what we think about. So it's like visibility, attractiveness, and persuasiveness. How can you show up when people need you? How can you look so good they feel silly not giving you a call? And then how can you just be fast, quick, kind, and thorough to respond? That formula kind of works for a lot of industries.
Yeah, that's really great. And the stuff is about affiliate marketing. So right
Mhm.
now you are on the top 10 of the affiliate of GHL. So can you tell the viewers, because lots of people, they are not good in tech, they are not good in marketing, but they have a good community. How people
Yeah.
can grow up with the affiliate marketing?
Yeah, that's great. I think of it. I know all the top 10 affiliates, and people approach it in very different ways. I'm less promotional in the sense of like I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm to do it. And so I think about this is like if you have a solution that solves a real problem for your audience, just be kind. Like just let them know it exists. And so that's kind of how I approach it. Is I had an audience and I continue to maintain an audience of other folks that are doing similar things to me. Namely, that was in the marketing space. So like if someone's in the marketing, if you're a marketing agency owner, if you're doing freelance marketing, if you're just in the general marketing space, chances are we kind of cross paths. I also don't have the voice of like a coach. I'm not like that's not, I don't sell coaching. I don't sell a course. And so when I talk about or report on it or like create content around it, I'm just saying, here's what we actually do. And so it may or may not be helpful. I don't presume to have the best path to like map it out and help people get started, because I probably have a little bit of a I'm not as good at babying with people. I'm like, hey, this is what I do. You can do this, as works, and if you don't want to do it, like, that's, I guess that's on you. But so in that voice, I just focus on relaying good information. Hey, this is really helpful. This works really well. And so a good example is we've done a lot of WordPress. So we had a lot of WordPress sites that we were hosting. High Level came out with WordPress hosting. We were one of the early adopters to that. And we've continued to innovate and build and find a great solution within High Level WordPress hosting. They allowed affiliates to promote the WordPress solution there. And so I told the folks that were in my circle of like, hey, if you're doing it, this is how we've been doing it. Here's some cool stuff that we built to make this easier. And if you want, you could sign up and tell them that Matt sent you. And that was about the extent of it. So for people getting into affiliate marketing, it truly is just marketing. If you feel like you're a bad marketer, think of it more as like being like telling people good news. And that's I think what changes it, when you really think like, if this is actually good, you're just letting them know this is good. Here's why it might be good for you. And that's a little bit more of a natural human endeavor. Like if you have a great restaurant that you know, and someone is like, man, I'm hungry, I want to go to dinner. And you're like, well, what kind of food do you like? And they say, oh, I like this type of food. You would tell them, you'd be like, this is my favorite restaurant. It happens to make the kind of food that you like. And so it's less manipulative and more supportive is what I'd encourage folks in.
Right. So I'm coming about the coaching part. You told that you don't have a coaching, but you did teaching to university people, and
Yeah.
you give lots of valuable stuff on Instagram. Something I related with the Alex Hamosi 100 million leads. You need to give value to the people, then they will come up to a funnel. So what are your tips on that?
On giving value, here's actually the piece that I think is helpful. If you're trying to get out there and make content, don't make content be the content. And so from that perspective, if you focus on just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, I'm going to be me, I'm going to live into this space, and then I'm going to document the process of being, it's so much easier to do it. So for me, like, these conversations just happen. Or I'll say right now, I said I'm not a coach. I should reframe it. It's like, I don't make money from coaching. I say, even like in teaching, I don't make money. Like, that's not how I feed my family. This is not my career. That's like, if someone takes my advice or doesn't take my advice, I don't make money either way. So from that perspective, I focus on doing. I relay the information I'm learning, because I do think there's a degree to say teaching is a helpful way to like solidify your own understanding, to refine your own understanding. And I kind of feel like a little bit of a personal responsibility of like, I have benefited from folks sharing. And as I say, I'm not monetizing. I have nothing against people that sell courses or sell coaching. I think it's great. I benefit from that. I love buying courses. I love buying coaching. So I am definitely a consumer of those things. I am just, right. Maybe someday I'll have a course, or someday I'll do, more professionalized coaching. But for now, I enjoy the game of doing. Maybe similar to yourself. It's like, if you could teach someone how to make a funnel, be like, I just actually enjoy making funnels, and that becomes your focus. That becomes your attention. And if you share, things that are working along the way of you actually doing it, people tend to resonate with it, and they may or may not find value. That's the other hard, difficult thing. If you think I'm going to make content, you can get really discouraged when, for whatever reason, it doesn't resonate or it doesn't like get a lot of reach. Instead, I think just going to do what I'm doing and I'm going to share it with other folks. And if it resonates, that's phenomenal. If it doesn't resonate, it's like, I wasn't doing it for them anyways. Like and maybe as an example, walking on a treadmill right now. I'm not a fitness coach. If you feel peer pressured and you're like, man, I got to get my steps in, like, that's awesome. If you think this is weird, I'm like, that's also awesome, because I'm doing it for my fitness goals. I'm not doing it to try to persuade or manipulate anybody to change their behavior.
Right. And sometimes what happened with this coaching industry is people not reach at that level and they start teaching it. They don't have that practical exposure. They will start the booking stuff. But in your case, you reach at that level. Now you are telling how you reach that, and now you are helping people, okay, by giving value. See, and the fitness part is like quite inspiring also.
Well, I think you just keep on. I think if I leave everybody with a parting thought, is your business only grows as much as you do. That could be professionally, the skills that you gather. It could be emotionally, being able to wear the weight of judgment, perceived judgment, just perceptions in general. I realize this, we run ads for the business. So people will make assumptions or judgments of me. If I couldn't bear that, what would you do? I'd get embarrassed. I'd shut down the ads. I'd stop. The business would stop growing because I'd be like, I can't do it. So it is vitally important, if you want your business to grow, that you need to find a way to personally grow and personally challenge yourself to kind of reset the ceiling of where you can get to in your business.
Great. And my next question comes up with the WordPress. So lots of folks I have seen in the high level community, they ask that, okay, we'll take that subscription of WordPress, which the high level is offering. But in funnels and website, when somebody visited again, we get to know about the stat. Okay, this guy has visited again and again. But in WordPress, we only get the number of clicks. And from the forms, we can integrate the lead connector. Is there any other way we can track all those records and we can use the fully functionality of high level with WordPress?
That is a really great question. So we have a couple integrations that we do inside of HL Pro Tools right now that have to do with a similarity to like a Hotjar. If anybody's familiar with Hotjar, this is based even deeper in terms of activity tracking, recorded user sessions. And then another tool called Mixpanel. And basically we've created integrations so that you can fire automations or track that data back into high level if you want a more granular look at like what they're doing, which is what you're kind of getting at, where you can do page view triggers. And so now you can do page view triggers from a WordPress site to simulate or just to recreate some of the cool automations you can do natively with a funnel or a website that's built inside of high level. So this is actually a perfect example. I don't know if you're intentionally teeing this up, but I don't know anybody else who does this other than inside of HL Pro Tools, but that's like an example of some of the things that we build that are useful for us. And then we just, relicense it to the community.
So let me share my screen for HL Pro Tools so people can help this out. So it will showing that Hotjar, like Hotjar show us the heat maps and all. So everything is over there in that tool.
So this is a newer site for us, but yeah, you got to dig. You got to dig in terms of getting to it. I'll say this: we have probably one of the most crazy value opportunities where, from a tools community assets perspective, even on our bottom tier, you get it all. So our higher tiers in HL Pro Tools are more so known for the outsourced support or supporting your users and doing live chat or onboarding calls and stuff like that. But even if you're like, I just have high level for myself and I just want to add cool things to it, you can get that on our we call it our core plan, but that gets you the tools and trainings and the community. We run a Facebook group. We've got coaching calls in there. So lots of stuff you can kind of like dig into there and learn about.
Great. And you're wearing a very nice t-shirt, Live Simply, with a guitar and stuff. And I'm also holding one guitar at my back end. And you have lots of different designs over here. So we come up with the t-shirt, the designs are like CEOOO. And there is what 0% hustle and even profit more, work less. So who come up with those crazy ideas?
These are all. This is all stuff that I wear. So I should have been wearing one of those shirts, but this is literally my day-to-day wardrobe. This is the shirt I'm wearing right now. I actually love it because it's the guitar with one string, the Live Simply. But yeah, all these things behind me. There's a sign that says "Profit more, work less." It's been shaping for me, and other folks in the community have resonated with it. Like, what does that actually mean? It's finding more leveraged ways to create value. And so for my experience, high level is incredibly powerful at doing that, where you're like, I'm solving problems at scale and I'm not hating my life. And I'm telling you, like, as someone who we have thousands of people that are customers every single month that pay us, and I really enjoy my life. That's hard to do. A lot of folks, you start stacking, you get like 50 customers and you're like, oh my gosh, my day could be ruined because someone has a bad day. And so tools like high level are incredible with that. And so these are all Matt-isms that we've turned into turn into shirts and swag.
Okay, and does that mindset come after AI? Because lots of people have fear of AI, they will take their jobs. But I think after AI automations, we have more time to communicate, have podcasts, and have more family time. So, what are your views on it?
I absolutely resonate. So, I mean, the AI side of it is just another layer, degree of technology that allows us to go further, to go faster, and it's definitely part of the tool set and actively used in the day to day. I actually have a free training inside of high level or inside of HL Pro Tools. I say free training. I think you can access it for free, but it's how I help folks get out of their inbox. A lot of entrepreneurs run their inbox, like their email inbox, like a to-do list. And I show them how you can leverage AI to just buy back time in your day-to-day. And so like the actual process is, how do you change expectations? So when email comes in, it auto responds and says, thanks so much for your email. I respond every single day at, let's say, 3 p.m. And then we run AI that drafts responses to all of your emails. So you come in there at 3 p.m. and you're just editing already drafted emails to reply to. That was one of like the first version. I now have an assistant who runs my inbox, so I don't have to be in it day to day. But I think for other folks, if you want a low cost way to buy back a ton of time in your life, AI to draft email responses. So you can come in and just be like, good to send, good to send, good to send. And then also as you see it, like you can continuously train it, which is magical from like an assistant perspective. Like, oh, that's not quite how I'd respond. Let me train it. So that's an example use case we use, ZappyChat for, but there's lots of ways. Now lots of tools you can do the similar sort of thing there. It's just to buy back your time with these technologies so that you can truly like profit, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally, like have more space in your life and feel like it's not as much of a grind.
Right, awesome tool. And I want to add one more question to it about email marketing. So, like
Yeah,
in high level, the problem is like it doesn't warm up that email. So right now, lots of email marketing tools are there instantly, lemless, which warm up the domain. So does
sure.
your tool do the same for warming up? Because people feel very problems in SPF and other records, and then their
Yeah.
email will keep on landing in the spam.
I'm not actually, so we don't have anything that helps with
Yeah.
spamming. My challenge here is that like, that is actually the definition of spam, is emailing people who didn't want you to email them. That's not the type of marketing we do. I tell folks, if you want to do cold outreach, do it on Instagram, or if you want, do it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the one platform that actually encourages, it's a pay to play. You can pay to have the right to show up in someone's inbox. For on an email perspective, literally Google's whole job is to keep you out of their inbox. So I understand high level's not great at cold emailing. I don't actually encourage that. You can find a way to do it, but like you got to understand that is the definition of spamming. So if you're ending up in the spam inbox, it's because you went head to head with Google and Google won. I'm just like not
Yeah.
surprised by that. And so, generally I don't teach anything on cold email. I don't have any tools for it because it's just not my style. We're primarily inbound, or call it like attractional marketing. I'd put out content, people like it, they'd resonate, have a lead magnet like you talked about earlier. Or, I guess caveat there is we do actively run LinkedIn marketing, which is cold, but it's pay to play. You pay like whatever, $50 or $79 a month. But it is one of the few platforms that like they say you can now have all these connections, and we run another connection there with ZappyChat to LinkedIn so that AI handles the conversations, does the outreach, handles the whole nurture process there, even through LinkedIn. But you pay whatever it is, $100 a month for LinkedIn, and then you do show up in the inbox.
Yeah. So that's come with my next tool question. I was just cracking the affiliate part of your, and in that funnel, the funnel was quite good. Like first you need to review as a video review to be an affiliate program. And after that, so you have lots of stuff integrated apart from high level. You have first promoter, hotjar, funnelytics, lots of tool over there. I just want to
Yeah.
know which one is your favorite tool.
High level is my favorite tool. So like, why do
Yeah.
we like things like first promoter? We have been in high level before they had all the things that they have. And so their typical process is they launch something and they call it a skateboard. They'll roll something out that like rolls, but it's not a car. It's definitely not a plane. And so as time goes on, all these things get better. If you ask me what my favorite not high level tool is, it's where we're in right now. It's Riverside. Actually, as a content recording, content editing platform, I think Riverside is, it's more on the content production side of it. And then if I had to pick a second to Riverside, it might actually be Zapier. I love automation. There are so many other things that are great in there, but if I ever need to automate something outside of high level, I use Zapier. And people are like, why don't you use Make or, some other thing? Zapier is Zapier is premium. You find somebody who's like, they have an integration with an automation, they're going to have Zapier. So you're going to get everything that has an integration has Zapier. Some have Make, some have Pabbly, some have whatever. So there's definitely cheaper cost-wise things, but where I'm at in life, I prefer to pay a little bit more and have the most premium version of it. And so that's why I'd say Zapier is my third.
Great. And I'm automation guy. I love Zapier. And the recent feature of AI with Zapier is you just need to tell, I want to connect these 4 softwares, and entire workflow will be over there.
Yeah, that's actually, I love that. They call it, are they calling it Copilot but yeah, they now have like a conversational prompting to create your whole automation flow. So they, and I think high level's taking inspiration. I'm excited about the roadmap for high level because they're taking a lot of inspiration from even that. And I think we'll see that come out in the next 6 to 12 months on the high level side.
Yes, it is coming up. I was doing a podcast with Sean, Robin, and Varun. Then they were telling me that they are coming with AI assistant, something like this, AI guy who will handle all those stuff.
Yeah,
so pretty soon we will see this.
It's going to be awesome.
And that is the high level. And I want to know, what is your favorite feature out of this high level functions? Which is your favorite native, like apart from media, conversations, calendar? Which one you like the most?
Oh, I think smart lists. So in contacts, I've talked about this before, but so it's literally just contacts, and it is smart lists is the filters you can put on contacts here, and so it's more filters is the button there, and and so you can create these saved. Yeah, to the right of that search bar, you've got more filters, and it flies out on the right. So you can create dynamic lists that stay up to date based on certain criteria. You can use lead scoring, you could use, visited page, all these sort of things there. And now you can pair smart lists with what they call broadcasts, essentially emails. So imagine if you wanted to say, like, every Monday, I want to send out this email to anybody who landed on my affiliate page but didn't sign up. So it's automation is what's happening here, but I love the intelligence behind smart lists. I think it's one of the most underutilized but powerful things that we do is the ability to segment your audience, create this defined segment, and it dynamically stays up to date. And so, and then, pairing that with like a nurture automation based on them being inside of the smart list is absolutely killer.
Okay. And in that case, it's something similar to Klaviyo, but they call it segmented list. So it is automatically updating day by day.
Yep.
And every day high level comes up with lots of features. So every day we see in the community, they are coming up with this. How you stay up to date, because you are helping people as a white label support also. So how you come up with,
we have a great relationship with high level. So we're inside of, inside of Slack with them. They actually, some of our position being direct on the feet on the ground, we see it's almost like quality assurance. So they'll release it and then we'll be like, hey, you may have not realized you have this little bug or that little bug, or like this isn't quite deployed. And so we have a great relationship with them from that perspective. That helps a lot. And it's funny how you just have the mind and capacity to it. Like, you talk to some other folks that are really into sports and they'll know all of the highlights from all of the games that happened over the last week. They just have a capacity to retain that information. We're the same way, but with high level features. Like, every time Sean comes out with a loom, we're watching it. We're seeing it. Every time there's Chase drops a release radar, like, we're watching it. We're just seeing it live time all the time. And you just realize, if you're in it 1,000%, we have that capacity as humans. It's just that you don't need to have all the things. You don't have capacity for all of that. Like, I can do that for high level. I can't do that for, football. I just can't. And so,
Mhm.
but some people can. That's like, that's their world, or music or whatever it is. And so for us, our world is high level, especially on the HL Pro Tools side of it.
Right. So I'm asking about the world stuff. So there is some lawsuit going on with ClickFunnels. So what are your take on it? Because everything you have built HL Pro is on the based of high level. So how you see this?
Yeah, this is interesting because I'm in Russell Brunson's inner circle, so
Yeah.
I pretty well connected in the ClickFunnels world. Russell's actually out of ClickFunnels, so he's definitely moved away. He's not the CEO. He's not running it in the day to day. So there's definitely a separation between Russell the person and ClickFunnels the company. My 2 cents is I think it was an attempt for an acquisition settlement. I think ClickFunnels wanted High Level to buy them. I think about the timing of it too. High Level just got funding. ClickFunnels never went through like a formal funding round there. And so you're talking about, here's now a company that's backed by private equity and investment vehicles that have backed other billion-dollar valuated companies. And so I could just see that was the attempt, the hope, the vision. We'll see how it all settles out. But it's basically lawyers battling it out now. And I just could see them settling at like, oh, High Level acquires ClickFunnels. I think the win there would be ClickFunnels gets the story that they got acquired, as opposed to like beaten in the marketplace. And High Level won't really care, but lawyers would have done it. You know what I'm saying? So like the people that are paying High Level's lawyers at this point is not High Level, it's the investment firms. And so that decision is going to be outside of founder's discretion, if you will. It'll be less emotional. It'll just be lawyers kind of settling it out.
Right. And they are coming up with almost the same feature, that is snapshot, which is quite popular of high level. They are coming up with the framework stuff, which is quite similar to it.
Yeah, I think the difference is High Level didn't, well, in terms of copying or feature mirroring, happens all the time.
Yeah.
The argument with the ClickFunnels High Level thing is one perspective is ClickFunnels shouldn't have been able to get the patent that they did, but they do have the patent. So it's like legally they had ground to do this because they were issued the patent. I'm sure from a high level legal counsel perspective, they're hoping to actually just overturn the patent, say this should have never been issued as a patent. This shouldn't have been patentable in the first place, but it does exist. There's a patent. High Level doesn't have a patent for snapshots, because similarly, it's like, that's not really a patentable, or maybe they've gone through the process now. I haven't seen them do the filing for it. Maybe they're thinking we should have, but like at this point, once someone announces it, it's hard to come back and say, I patented it. I'll sort of race there. But so there's two divides, like best practice, what's protected, what's unprotected. And then once you have these kind of legal standings, like what do you do? And it'll just run its course in the courts, or really with the lawyers probably not getting to court.
And like you have occupied with lots of tools, you do lots of stuff, and you are posting something on Instagram, LinkedIn. So how you come up with new ideas? So how you make your mind stable and think about new ideas?
It's a great question. So I work out every day. I sauna every day. I find a lot of empty space throughout my week. So I basically have 2 days a week that I do a lot of calls, and it's a lot of back-to-back stuff. But so for 5 days a week, I don't. So 2 days a week, I'm on calls back-to-back. 5 days a week, I'm not. You need that space. That's margin. That's profit. Even if it's just like time profit, you need that space if you're going to continue to like refill yourself. And so some things, you just get the perspective to observe, to see what's happening. You have space to ask those questions. Like I was able to do that workshop because I had the space to say, I wonder what the top 10 performing funnels are for all of the people that we supported. So I could ask the question, and then I had the time to like, let me dig in and see and find out. And let me see, I remember I listed out, so of folks that have won the award, we have it's an insane amount. 84% of award winners use HL Pro Tools. So as far as like our insight into people that have been able to do it successfully, it's like the overwhelming majority, I have access to those accounts. And so, and definitely without a doubt, the biggest accounts, I definitely have access. Like literally every single enterprise client that I know of inside of the high level ecosystem, all the big names that you'd recognize as entrepreneurs outside the space, we support them. And so if I were to pick like the top 1% of high level, I definitely see those accounts. And then I've expanding it to like, hey, if I go to like the top 10% of high level, you know, I still see the majority of those accounts. So I had the time and space to ask the question, to dig in and to see. And then I literally, I just like use Post-it notes, and I've got Post-it notes all around me. I'm literally like Post-it noting like all of these things around the screen and just mind mapping out, here's what they use, okay, is there any commonality between these things to identify those patterns? And so some of you just need the space to make that happen.
So how you come up with that video stuff, because they consume lots of time, and right now videos are quite popular, but daily you are posting something. So
how do I come up with it? It's part of its systems, because it'd be like me saying like, hey, daily you brush your teeth. How do you do that? You're like,
yeah,
I just have a habit. Like I just do it. I don't even think about it anymore like that. I just decided this is a healthy habit I should keep. And then I make sure I keep it. And so I'd say that like, it's not unusual in life to have systems and processes that you keep with regularity. Eating food, right? I have my favorite recipes, and they're in depth, and I follow them, you know, but it's like you do it enough. They're like, I don't even think about it. This is so easy. Of course I cook. And to someone else, you'd say like, well, of course I cook food. If you don't cook food, you would starve and die. But how many businesses are like, how do you post on social media? Be like, well, of course I have something for visibility. If you don't, you starve and die. And they're like, that's weird. My business is starving and dying. You're like, I know why, because you're not feeding the business. And so, yeah, it's like when you find these critical things, they're like, that is a top level or like a foundational problem, right? For humans, we need food, water, shelter. For businesses, we need awareness. If no one knows my business exists, I will have no customers. And so just the same way that I prioritize food, water, shelter, I prioritize visibility for the business.
great. So that reminds me of a book, Atomic Habits. Like daily habits can make you lots of stuff. So which one is your favorite book?
Ooh, my favorite book. I read a lot of books, so I don't know if I could pick one favorite. I will say one that I send out to our top tier customers. We've done this for a couple of years. It's called Predictably Irrational. It's Dan Ariely, and it has to do with psychology. I think it's super helpful in understanding for yourself as well as for your customers and your marketing. What are the things that we are susceptible to from a human psychology perspective that can work for us or against us? So this is Atomic Habits, sort of in that same space, right? Where he identifies those, you call it like unintuitive hacks, because the intuitive stuff we do, right? Like manners. If I'm nice to you, you'll be nice to me. I don't have to train that to a lot of folks. They understand manners. However, if I had to like think of like give before you take, that's a predictably irrational thing. Is that the folks that give the most to me, I want to give back. Reciprocity. Now, if I think about it, you're like, I know it's reciprocity, but it's weird in the business side of it. That's like, hey, if you want to have more customers, give away more stuff than anybody else. That's predictably irrational. It seems like that is a dumb plan. Why would you give away more than anybody else? Your business is going to grow. You need to sell more than anybody else. You're like, no. Trust the process. And so it's those unintuitive things where the reason why not everybody does it is because it's not obvious. So Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely.
Yeah, so that's again a funnel by Alex Hormozi. He teaches a lot about this stuff. He talk about this stuff. Start giving value, then you will see the results. And lots of business owners refrain themselves by giving value. They thought that they might get copied. So then they might run out of business also if they don't update.
Yeah.
And who's your favorite mentor?
Oh man, my favorite mentor is still probably someone I've never met in person, and his name is Dr. Richard Swenson. He wrote the book Margin. This was like a hugely shaping book for me, and his premise was, for the sake of progress, we rob ourselves of margin, and marginless living is the root of all ailment. And so there's a lot to unpack there, but he was a medical doctor. He was a just general practitioner. He saw patients all day, and he observed that he called it marginless living. Living without space, living without margins was a product of what it seemed like was advancement. It was like progress, but it was actually kind of killing us. And so one of the illustrations I use is like, 200 years ago, a busy person like had one meeting per week, right? Because it took a long time to get there. You basically met up like this day, midday. You just couldn't schedule a lot. Now I can schedule things to the minute. And so it seems like, well, thank you, technology and progress. I can have 50 calls in a day and have zero space in my day. That's progress. But maybe that's actually killing us. And so in the same way, I can take on debt. I can have credit card. I can spend more than I even have in the bank account. Isn't that amazing? Because of leverage, and I can, take on debt because of technology and credit cards. And you're like, but how many people get trapped by that? And so if you, for the business, it's obvious that profit is the health of the business, right? If you make a lot of money, if you have a high revenue, but then you have higher expenses, you'd be like, that's horrible business. But it's possible now with technology and progress, but it's true in our lives too, right? So if you've got like packed out days, but no free space, like that's not profitable, right? If you've got, just all these areas. And so he talks about like this financial margin, emotional margin, spiritual margin, relational margin, and margin being the unfilled space. That's profit. That's a rich life, is measuring how much space do I have that's not accounted for.
Right, and that's remind me of one of the more quote, like some people died at 25 and buried at 75.
Mm,
So they do the same stuff. They are not updating themselves their entire life.
yeah, that's a good one.
And one last question from you. So when you started using high level, first thing you did or make on that platform?
The first thing I did when we started, there were no custom fields. And so what I wanted to make was a text sequence that took a value from a form. You might say like my favorite color is blue. And I wanted to have a text message that would say like, hey, so excited you're coming in. I've got a blue shirt set aside for you, or whatever it is, right? That's what I tried out to make. It wasn't possible. And so from early on, I went to Sean. I said, can I just pay you to make the features we wanted? So we started on a plan with High Level that was $5,000 a month, and they would just build out whatever features you want. So if you enjoy custom fields inside of High Level, you're welcome. I just paid Sean to make it happen. Actually, first I went to him, he said, put the idea on the idea board. And I tried and no one voted for it. And I was like, is there any other way I can make this happen? So that was the first thing I tried to make, was just a text message that was using a custom field.
And like due to that feature, right now we can create a website with entire color palettes and all those stuff. So
Yeah.
that's how it grows. So thanks to you if you have started this. So right now we can easily, from the single snapshot, all brand colors, everything automations into the same place.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal.
And what are your vision, 5 year vision to HL Pro and other tools? How you see your vision after 5 years?
That's, you know what? So one of the things that I've got posted around here, I've got a couple of big goals that I keep in mind. For instance, I want to raise kind and confident kids who want to spend time with me when they no longer have to. So I'm a parent. I also want to help 5,000 people be financially free. And so we do that internally in HL Pro Tools. We do a lot of coaching for our affiliates. I like this year, we want to have 500 people that we pay out $100,000 per year to be an affiliate for us. But I think there's a bigger thing here where I just want to help folks find that margin, that financial freedom, whatever that looks like for them. And I'm going to keep on sharing as much as like the stuff that's working for me to help them. But in 5 years, I'm going to imagine I'll have some more formal ways that I do that. But that's the big vision for me, is if I can help more people just at least check the box of financial freedom, I feel like then they can lift their heads up and start to look around at the other areas of life that might matter more, but you got to take care of the foundation. So that's where I'm heading.
That's really great and inspiring also. So you have two kids, right? And I have a 6-year-old kid. So how you find time with work-life balance? Do they come to your studio and do all those stuff? So how exactly you find time for them?
I prioritize it. I do not have balance. I go for harmony. I tell you, 2 days a week I'm on these calls. 5 days a week I'm not. So I've definitely oriented my life in a way where they get the majority of my attention.
Okay, so that's really good. And if people wants to connect with you, get mentorship from, which is the best platform from where they can connect with you?
I think Instagram, literally Instagram, Matt Deseno, follow me over there, DM me over there. I do share like stories regularly if you want to see behind the scenes. That's probably, you know, just check out the stories. I'll show you, like, I document the process of building and making.
So that's really, I will put all those in the description of this show, and I will put HL Pro and other stuff over there so people can easily access it. And
Awesome.
thank you so much for joining at the show. It's a really learning experience for me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.